Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. Today we'll be continuing with our mod highlight series, where we'll be discussing a rather interesting mod which was lost to us for a number of months. Why So Furious Vampire Bloodlines, the Strigoi. It's not been updated since May 2020 and it's been broken for a few months now. This was one of my favourite Vampire Counts mods, where the main goal is to reform the Strigoi Empire with not only your undead servants, but a massive amount of Strigani units too. Another modder has taken it upon himself to create a submod, so this mod can now be playable once again, which is absolutely fantastic, as this was one of my favourite mods back in the day when I wanted a different experience when playing as the vampire counts. This mod is absolutely massive, and drastically changes the Strigos Empire into more of its own unique sub-faction that has a drastically different playstyle to that of the normal vampire counts. As always, to better showcase this mod, I'm going to start off a fresh new campaign in easy mode and easy battles. Your campaigns will begin in the Badlands, in the former lands of the Strigoi Empire. You are very much surrounded at all fronts by various greenskin tribes, all of which can be a threat to you. And it is important to note that your possible allies, that of other vampire count factions, are fairly far away. However, a strong contender for a possible alliance would be that of Arkan the Black. He's fairly close, and it's more than likely that he will expand northward. Your faction's research tree hasn't changed too much. The majority of it is still very much vanilla. However, you'll notice that more sections have been added in an effort to buff up your new type of units. The new researchers themselves are divided into 3 small sections. The first focusing around settlement management, growth and public order. The next focusing around your new Strigani units, just buffing them up to keep them in line with the rest of your undead forces. And the last, larger branch focuses around buffing up your army versus different types of enemies and so on. This is beneficial for you, especially the anti-greenskin buffs, as you are going to be surrounded by and fighting a lot of greenskins for a long time. Your construction tab hasn't really changed that much. In truth, only a few buildings have been added in, and even then, it's not that noticeable. Instead of having a multitude of new buildings to learn from, the majority of what is needed can be found through the vanilla buildings, including a vast majority of all the new units and heroes implemented throughout this mod. This makes it easier for players rather than adding in a bunch of new buildings, as if you're used to the vampire counts already, you already know more or less what buildings are beneficial to you. Your starting army is comprised of all new unique units introduced by this mod. It's a small highlight to give, but it's nice to have a start with new units rather than the usual vampire count ones. Now let's look at your faction leader, and the first of 4 legendary lords playable throughout this mod. Yusharan the Vampire. Faction traits include bonuses to ambushes and the reduction of upkeep for both Strigani and Strigoi units. This means that you should be able to freely mix both the living and the dead, as they both benefit from this massive upkeep reduction. Other than that, this character is geared towards buffing up his army in different senses, mostly around combat, and also building himself up to be quite the melee powerhouse. Bear in mind though that this character, obviously being a Strigoi, suffers from a massive lack of armor. He is powerful in melee combat, but he can get sniped out fairly quickly in the right conditions. A large portion of his buffs through his skills do benefit his living units however, so keep that in mind when building up your late game's doom stacks. This mod has a lot of unique events programmed into it. You're able to use this to your advantage in many ways. Here for example, you've got the ability to unleash the ghouls, where you have 4 different levels of that matter. You've been told now that you're able to expand your kingdom, and it's up to you on how you'd like to do so. Obviously, with the first number being more focused around rapid expansion, and the last more focused around slow expansion. It's all to do with your own playstyle. However, I do recommend Unleash the Ghouls 1 as it is the best one by far, if you're trying to be a bit more aggressive of course. You will notice a large amount of landmarks throughout these regions, many of which have been updated properly to fit the theme of your new units. There are also a lot of quests in regards to this mod, although a lot of them don't seem to pop up on the events tab, which is a bit strange to me. I'm not sure if this is as intended or not, or it might just be some sort of bug. However, it would be rather interesting if these were actual secret quests. Low-tier Strigani units seem to appear in the Raise Dead tab. I'm talking more about the living units more than anything. I'm sure this is not intended, however, hey, it works out rather well. Personally, I'd like to focus more on Strigani units and Strigoi units rather than baseline vanilla vampire counts. As stated before, there are random events to pop up. The best example would be the one on screen right now. You see, this was triggered by building the landmark in my starting province. I wouldn't have known this if I didn't construct the landmark, which shows that these buildings are rather beneficial in more ways than one. You never know if a secret event might pop up and give you another extra legendary lord. You'll see the event mentions a character known as the Lord of Masks. This is one of the other 3 legendary lords that you can unlock, a character you will unlock after constructing that landmark, so if you see any whilst building this mod which might fit the Strigoi theme, make sure to build them. Some of the quests will pop up as stated before, for example this one which is requiring you to own the entirety of 8 provinces. No simple task very early on in campaign, but that's why the reward itself is so large. It gives you more incentive to be more aggressive. A lot of new characters have been added in through this mod, both in the form of legendary characters and that of generic lord and heroes. One such lord is the Strigani Petru, a spellcaster based lord, so nothing too impressive when in terms of normal damage and normal stats. However, the character benefits from a bunch of spells from a variety of different lores. These hybrid spellcaster lords can indeed be quite powerful, and are a nice welcome change from the usual lore of vampire lords. Another generic lord is that of the Strigani Karzakan, a basic frontline melee based character. However, let's be perfectly honest here, while indeed the character has decent stats, a high armor value and so on, it's more than likely that you'll focus around either Strigoi characters or vampire characters. The Petru itself at least is more usable than a basic melee character which has nothing else to show for it. And now for a generic hero we have the Strigani Mystique, another generic spellcaster with a mix of different lores including some own unique spells. Again, this character is weak in terms of normal stats. It can pretty much be deleted very quickly if you leave her unattended. Now, you may remember that I said in the beginning of this video that there are 4 legendary characters implemented through this mod. You will get access to one as soon as you begin your game. The other 3 are unlocked through different scenarios and so on, where they'll pop up available for recruitment after completing some secret requirements. So I'm not going to go over them as that might spoil the fun. You already know how to unlock the Lord of Masks, so you already have access to 2. The rest is up to you, but you can see during this clip that they have fairly decent stats, with their own form of playthrough and their own unique spells and so on, so it makes it quite an initiative to try and seek them out. Again, the majority of them are Strigoi, so bear in mind that they will get ripped apart by anything that does a lot of damage to unarmored units. And now we'll look over all the units implemented throughout this mod, check out their stats, and offer my final thoughts within this project. As you can see, I've almost got a full 40 stack, and that's just through the units added in through this mod. This is not including all the baseline vanilla heroes and units that you can also recruit into your armies. You are spoiled for choice here, not only with generic vampire count units, but also a large number of different Strigoi themed units, including a large variety of ghouls, and a fairly full Strigani roster. You can basically form 3 different types of thematic armies without any problem. The mod itself is incredibly playable, and it's been much requested for it to be updated once again. The original modder has not updated it for a while, and it's perfectly fine. It could be that the mod's just no longer interesting to him or not, so these things do happen, and it's rather cool that you can get another modder jump in and create a submod that will make it playable once again. Honestly, the mod itself works very well, even with this submod. I was pleasantly surprised when someone recommended it to me, as this was one of my favorite mods way back then, so seeing it back up and running again was fantastic. As you can see, a lot of the models here for the units have their own unique skins, and they look rather cool. I'm a big fan of a sub-faction overhaul mod, which gives you a variety of different playstyles. You see, with this mod, you're working with not only your slow-moving but terrifying vampire count units, but a fast-moving, poisonous horde of mutants with a Strigoi. However, if you want to go back to more of an old-school approach for the lore for the Strigoi, you could easily go with full Strigani armies, which seem to be, as I've played through, in a very similar sense of mixing the rosters between early Bretonnia and early Empire. It's not by far the most competitive army when you're playing as the living units, but it's still fun nonetheless. I'm not 100% sure if the secret missions and so on are supposed to be secret, or if a bug isn't just triggering the stuff. However, I must admit that thinking about it in a whole secret type of sense actually makes it really fun. Let's be honest, secret stuff is always really cool, and it gives the player more incentive to search for it. I'm actually kinda hoping that some more modders will implement some sort of secret stuff in their mods. Maybe give a hint about it here and there, but that's pretty much it. Now, as always, if you want to try out this mod, bear in mind that you'll not only need one, but two mods. On the description below will be the direct submod which fixes the original, and that will directly link you to the original, which you will also need. I highly recommend this mod to anyone interested in vampire counts in general, or if you want something completely different. This is by far the best Strigoi mod there is out there. It's absolutely phenomenal and it's jam-packed with content. I've barely scratched the surface, but I'm allowing you guys to check it out for yourselves in an effort to find everything that's out there. And as always, if you know of any interesting mods which you'd like to see featured on the channel to promote a modder, let me know in the comments below, or join our official Discord, which you can find in the description below. I'm generally easier and faster to contact throughout the Discord. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VSFasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.